Today we are continuing what we learned yesterday with multiplying fractions, but today we will be using the standard algorithm. You have your VIP with you, so please be sure that you take good notes so that you can work on it later. First, let's review modeling fraction multiplication from yesterday. We're going to use the example 5 times 2/3. With this example, our whole number that we are multiplying is 5. That tells us the total number of models that we need. Your denominator is 3, which tells you how many parts you divide each model into. Your numerator is 2, which tells you how many parts are shaded in each model. With this information, our model would look like this. We have 5 models. Each model is divided into 3 parts, and each model is shaded in 2 of those parts. Therefore, my total number of shaded parts is 10, which makes my fraction 10/3. And when you change that into a mixed number, your final answer is 3 1/3. This should be a review from yesterday. Before you learn the standard algorithm, I want to tell you some fun facts about fraction multiplication. The first fun fact is that whole numbers can be represented as fractions. And the second fun fact is that you do not need a common denominator to multiply fractions. Let's look at that first fun fact for a moment. In these examples, you can see how I made my whole number into a fraction. Let's look at our first one. 4 equals 4 1/2. You can think of it as 4 is a whole number, so you are saying that you have 4 wholes. Same with my next example. 10 equals 10 wholes. And then 146 equals 146 wholes. No matter what the whole number is, you can make it a fraction by making the denominator 1. This is a very important part of fraction multiplication. Let's look at our second fun fact. You do not need a common denominator to multiply fractions. Look at my example. 6 wholes times 3/4. This can be kept as it is. In fraction addition and subtraction, we had to find a common denominator, but you do not need to do this in fraction multiplication. An important thing is that you must have a numerator and denominator in each fraction when you are multiplying. Now that you know the fun facts, let's get multiplying. Our first step in multiplying fractions with the standard algorithm is to make our whole number into a fraction. We discussed how to do this earlier. Our example today will be 3 times 4/5. Think about that fun fact we were just talking about. If I made 3 into a fraction, what would it be? Very good. 3 equals 3 wholes. Therefore, our new number sentence is 3 wholes times 4/5. This is how you must set it up in order to multiply fractions. One way to think about this is if I have 3 books, I am saying I have 3 whole books. That is why 1 is my denominator, to show 1 whole. Our second step is that we will multiply straight across your numerators. Let's look at our example. In our example of 3 wholes times 4/5, I would multiply across the top. We would multiply 3 times 4. When you multiply 3 times 4, what do you get for your numerator? Very good. 12 will be your numerator when you multiply the numerators. What do you think our next step will be? If you guessed that you would multiply straight across your denominators, you were correct. This is where it comes different from addition and subtraction. You will still multiply straight across. So in our example, you would multiply 1 times 5. When I multiply 1 times 5, what is my denominator? Excellent. My denominator for our example is 5. Now we are ready for the final step in multiplying fractions with the standard algorithm. You must then put your numerator and denominator together. If your product is an improper fraction, you must make it a mixed number. Using our example, we started with 3 times 4/5. We then changed it so that our whole number was a fraction. When we did that, we had 3 wholes times 4/5, and our product was 12/5. This is an improper fraction, as our numerator is greater than our denominator. The next part should be a review, as we've been working on making mixed numbers. When I make a mixed number, I divide my numerator and my denominator. When I do this with my example, I do 12 divided by 5, which gives me a quotient of 2 remainder 2. And if you recall how we make a mixed number, that will give us a final answer of 2 2/5. Therefore, our product of 3 times 4/5 is 2 2/5. You are doing such a great job with fraction multiplication. If you would still like to use the model algorithm, you may do that, but the standard algorithm is another way that you can do it. Keep up the great work!